Hi, welcome to this channel on magnetic energy, technology, principles, applications. This video is about magnetic nuclear fusion lasers, and this is highly unconventional information. Of course, all of this latest little series I'm doing is about like top secret projects that we may or may not see in the near future. This one definitely we will not see unless there's some sort of ascension, and so this is kept under wraps, and it's been worked on for decades as well, just like the other projects. And there's, they have collaboration around the world and all that because it's just too much. It's too powerful for an unenlightened humanity. So the the thing about this is it's slightly different than what you would think of a conventional laser. So it's not going to be, it has minimal electronic components. It's not based on force, like pushing something like that out. It's still in the magnetic model and even in the experimental products and experimental prototypes that they have produced. It's still basically an attract function of it, and there's a lot of reasons behind that. From the alternative physics point of view, you have tremendous limitations when you try to force something with electronic components. And so it's when you have the magnetic components and you're talking like more interdimensional and you're using an attract model, your limitations kind of vanish. And so the primary uses for this laser most likely, well, are right now, but are in the future as well. They would be like detection, long distance detection, like this could be detection over light years, analysis of different solar systems, planetary bodies, stars, and objects at a very far distance, like basically light years, communication, of course, and then planetary defense if necessary. And I'll tell you why it's so effective for something like that. So it's along with the other things that I've been talking about, like in the magnetic fusion, the engines and the things for interstellar travel. This has a reaction chamber that combines like rotating and counter-rotating magnetic fields and special alloys and coils and all of that. But the difference here though is you're rotating and counter-rotating magnetic fields, which are typically, they'll be produced by magnet arrays, and these are high-powered magnets. Like, so this is like serious shit, like this type of laser array. But they're not equal in terms of their strength and in their speed of rotation. They're making a differential between the rotors and between the speeds. So they have like harmonic locks that they produce. And the reason for that is because we want a rotating torus that's produced by the magnetic field, and we want a counter-rotating torus that isn't exactly the same, that they're off. And the reason for that is because we want to we're drawing in the etheric magnetic energy at a high rate, but we want the output of it to be at a low rate. And the reason for that is because the reaction chamber in this builds tremendous pressure. Now, it's not building pressure for expulsion, so it's not building it so it can like shoot something out like a laser. It's building the pressure so that it has enough energy to respond to the intense attraction energy that it pulls, that gets pulled on it. And so it needs a lot of energy to really respond to that. Now, so I'll give an example of how like this would be used. And the special alloys are really critical. Like thialkali or something similar to that is highly critical to this type of laser. And so let's just say that you are trying to detect a solar system that's like really far away. Like let's say it's Vega, the star Vega, and then like there's maybe some planets around it that are very interesting to astronomers or to astrophysicists, and they want to get a good close read on those. And so we need the technology like this type of laser in order to do that. So we can analyze the magnetic components in the starlight that we receive conventionally, but at the same time we will process that starlight through thialkali arrays so that we get very specific magnetic signatures on that starlight, on the magnetic components of that starlight. So then with that, we will just gently, now we're talking like maybe 1 or 2% of the torus fields will be polarized. So it's predominantly neutral. Like in the reaction chamber, the energy is predominantly neutral, but then there's a very small influx of polarization that we have basically determined from that starlight, from that solar system. So then when we activate this laser, it produces like a double helix of energy that goes out that is predominantly neutral, like 98, 99% neutral. Now it's very important that this double helical release of energy is predominantly neutral, but it's at a very high vibration, if you want to say it that way, or we would say it's like at a high magnetic resonance factor. So what it's doing is it's like interdimensional, it's quasi interdimensional, so it's partly in our dimension, it's partly above our dimension, and that way when it hits something, it essentially just passes right through it without disrupting it. So what it's doing is it's seeking the very small amount of polarization that we've added to the neutral field, and the energy is seeking that. And so let's say we want to analyze the solar system of Vega. The current position of Vega is radically different than the starlight that we've received from it, and the astronomers and astrophysicists are fully aware of this, and they do all kinds of calculations to try to estimate where it might be, but they don't know. But see, with this type of laser, we get the exact precise location of Vega at this given moment, because we're traveling with the energy going to it is outside of space and time. It's quasi interdimensional, so it's like Vega may be here in the sky from our point of view because we're seeing old light from it, but then it's way over here, it's a completely different location. So the laser is essentially pointed at that location, and it's attracting the energy. Now once it locks into that, then we can start to add more polarization to the signal so that it becomes really locked in to like the heliosphere or the different components of that solar system or that star that we're really interested in. And that way we can get detailed analysis and feedback from that. So the double helix, it goes back and forth. And this is in the magnetic model. You're always getting a return on everything that you do. So it's essentially putting that signal out there, and then at the same time, beyond space and time, it's like it becomes, if you want to say, quantumly entangled to the particles in that solar system, and then gives spontaneous feedback of what is composing, what are the composition of those. And so that allows you to get really amazing detailed analysis. Now, for planetary defense, it's a bit different. So like, let's say there's a comet or an asteroid that's impending doom to Earth or whatever, and they know they've tracked it and it's going to hit the planet. We would get basically the magnetic resonance signature of that asteroid or whatever it is. The laser would focus on that. It would start to communicate with that back and forth, back and forth. We get a detailed analysis, elemental spectral breakdown of that and everything about it. So we need the complete magnetic resonance factor breakdown of whatever it is. And then the laser can be set to polarizations that mimic that. And this is similar to like when Tesla was able to bring down a whole building with just a small device. You could completely annihilate an asteroid with this type of technology. So you could either totally break it apart or just completely turn it into neutral magnetic energy, essentially evaporate it. And so you can do it either way, depending on how large the asteroid, how large it is, the composition of it, how large your laser is, the power of it, and all those things. But one way or another, you can definitely completely break apart an asteroid with this type of technology, no problem at all, into minuscule pieces. And so you get the idea of how powerful the technology is and how fast it can work, and it essentially works outside of space and time, so we're not really limited to light years or light speed or anything like that, because we're working predominantly with like neutral magnetic energy on it and counter rotating vortices and all that good stuff that I always talk about in these videos. So please send in any questions that you have on this. I don't know if I'm going to do one more video on this series, and then hopefully move on to something else, because I'm not sure if this is really the smartest thing to be talking about. But anyway, send in any questions and comments that you have, and I will see you next time.